think you've come as far up, you haven't. Try and get another inch. Knees, arms, go tight. Slowly down, control it, control. As you can see, I am so far away from the muscle that Ryan is working, because that is where the secret is, in making the movement as stable as possible. And as you get to the business end of the set, that's where you want to go as far away. So then we're looking at the impact of really pulling that, but not pulling through your bicep, but pulling through your lat. And then how the lat then and the rib cage and the transverse abdominal work together to really shorten and make it compact as one unit. And then it's a case of just really driving the knee as opposed to just swiveling, which you see a lot going on. And Ryan is quite lean at this moment in time. So, you know, when it goes the other leg, I'll pull his shots off, and you can see. And it's actually on the belly of the hamstring. Obviously the hamstring is the bicep of the lower body, so you can just see. Absolutely immense. But we live in nothing, because like Ryan knows, if the set is 6 to 9, 1 to 6, it's almost a given. It's a 6 to 9, it's those three. That's when he's almost pressing the nose button to really get very, very super focused, because that's where the wins are. Good. And as you can see there, it's just evident how hard his hamstrings are working. On the last couple of reps, you can see him shaking, and that really is a sign of how hard the hamstring is working. This kneeling hamstring is the equivalent of a seated hamstring curl. It challenges the fully lengthened position.
I think people not probably done an iron done before is flexing the quad at the bottom.
Yes.
What does that?
It helps there. So as I'm asking Ryan, you can see me cueing him to flex the quad, because if you flex the quad short ends, and as a result, the hamstring will fully lengthen. And that's what you do in the gym. You pull the muscle apart, then you bring it together. You pull it apart, you bring it together. That's the target when you go into the gym. Fully lengthen it like a band, and then contract it. So on the way down, you want those hamstrings fully lengthened. And because of the agonist-antagonist relationship of the muscles, if you contract the agonist, the antagonist muscle is going to fully lengthen. So Ryan today has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movements. So most people don't maximize this sort of training because of how they pace the session, right? So everything here is max. So 1 rep range to hit. So Ryan's got 6 to 9 there to hit. He's only got 1 chance. So when we're going to go on this next set, it has a different goal. So if then he doesn't rest, if I just tell him, right, let's go, like a normal 3 sets of 10, then he doesn't get that. Then he has to wait for 10 days before we do this again.
10 days.
You know what I mean? 10 days, we do that for 2 rotations. What's that? 20 days? That's a month. We're behind now. So it's very, very important you get your breath back, you rest right before you go. We start hyperventilating, because now I'm going to be demanding 10 to 14 reps for this next set. So he's got to have that lung capacity to be able to give me those, because it'll get taxing knowing the muscle in terms of his breathing at the end and challenge him that way. Whereas the first set really taxes him neurally and from the muscle. It's going to tax him from a cardiovascular point of view. So really take your rests and go when you're ready. There is no right or wrong.
What I would say about, like, that's what I mean by low volume training. It's hard because, like Oscar said, you've only got 2 options, 2 chances.
Yeah.
But that, then you have to apply intensity. You can't do any sub-max sets, so you've got to make sure. That's where you'll see the logbook comes into place, where every one of these sets now is a PB near enough. By the end of it, by the end of this rotation, most of these sets will be PBs. And we were speaking before we started filming, saying about how you should really be nervous before a set. You should be thinking, shit, like, because that's what's going to bring the progress, that's what's going to be the adaptation. And then obviously, it's not just a matter of add more weight, the execution has to be perfect, and then we might just steal a rep. And once we get to higher rep ranges, say I get 14 on this, next week we'll add a little bit of weight and then go again for 10, and just keep that process going. One of the biggest things I've learned from this exercise as well is, rather than pushing with my foot, driving my knee. So driving my knee as hard as I can into that pad rather than thinking about kicking my heel to my ass. But yeah, that was a good set. One of the massive things that Oscar spoke to me about and what I've learned is the importance of internal dialogue. Rather than, I used to get to deadlift and not fear deadlift, but almost tell myself I wasn't good at it and told myself, oh, I'm not very good at deadlift, so I need to get better at deadlift. And what Oscar told me to do was get confident. Be confident within yourself and start thinking, nah, I can fucking boss these deadlifts. Like, I'm strong as fuck. Like, if I go up to a hack squat or a press, I know full well I'm probably like, I'm pretty strong. So with the deadlift now, is I just switch my mindset. Rather than fearing it, I think, okay, we've got this, like, we've touched a new weight last week, new reps, and now it's just a matter of bullying them reps up and not really fearing it, telling yourself, like, I got this shit.
So on here, we're just looking to pick it up. Same way we pick up something when it's fell off the floor, because then you have the furthest distance to travel, going all the way to the floor with your hips up. So then how that transfers to muscularity is massive, because imagine the amount of force created. Do you know what I mean? And always when you're picking movements in terms of what produces the most amount of force. That's why the SLDL for muscularity, for back muscularity, is key. If you really just want to develop thickness through your posterior chain, which is what Ryan's after. So like on that set, what Ryan's done, he's gone to failure, but it's very important we don't go beyond failure. So like when he goes 7, we ask him to take the 8th rep and maybe it's pulling it 30 seconds all the way up, and then that just not only puts him back in terms of recovery by Friday's central nervous system, but now he's got a backup set. You've already exposed your body to such a heavy weight. When he grabs this, it's going to feel like an empty bag of crisps. Do you know what I mean? And it's just going to fly, and it almost surprises you, but in a nice way. And then before you know it, you forget to reset, you forget to keep the breathing pattern consistent, and before you know it, you make it to about 8, and then the set breaks down. Now, most people would say, but at least I got 8. You know what I mean? It's like, no. The goal was to hit double numbers, but you didn't get to double numbers, not because you couldn't, it's because you're not efficient. You know what I mean? So it's a difference. It's just you have to be efficient, and you have to really just keep your temperament calm. And one rep, then you do another rep, as opposed to having them all together.
Take it out of them sets. Now I can feel every bit from the top of my traps right down to my carbs, just everything's pumped.
You see us fidgeting with the machine because setup is such a big part of getting everything right. So most people will not make progress because they just stumble upon machines in the gym with lack of awareness, and they'll just sit on it and they'll just start performing a set. Now, the thing with that is maybe the machine's not adjusting for your biomechanics, so actually now the movement you're meant to be doing, you're not doing it very accurately. So it's very, very important. Like this has got 3 adjustment pads. So you got the feet and you got the back adjustment pad, and those have to be bang on for the biomechanics. And some of the machines, let me show you a tip, which most people won't know, but would always have a dot there on the axis, and your knee has to be in line, your kneecap has to be in line with the axis. So this will always be there on a leg extension and a seated hamstring curl, even on a lying hamstring curl. So it's a cue for you to be able to align your knee with that axis, and then chances are you'll be fitting right. Now you'll have, based on that, if that's right, then you'll just adjust the pad, the foot pad, based on what's more comfortable for you. But yeah.
Oscar, why would you program kneeling before this? Why would you have kneeling hamstring curl before a seated hamstring curl?
Because because in a unilateral movement, obviously you're weaker with a single limb, So you want to prioritize that for that reason. Second, you're training a single limb so that you're more accurate. So that's the second reason. You want the accuracy. When you're fatigued and you go back on a kneeling hamstring curl, chances are you'll not nail it, or you'll push very, very little weight, which really, the hamstrings being a slow twitch muscle, respond to really heavy loads. Do you know what I mean? So fast twitch muscles, neither here nor there, but slow twitch muscles will respond better to a heavy load.
So there was the same weight as last week, but what we got was 5 with a 2 assist. So this week I got 7 with a 1 assist. So it's just like, again, we'll get that to probably 9 without any assists, and then increase the load, go back to working on 6, keep doing that. Another good thing about having a logbook, what I find is when I can reflect on it before I start the session, it really primes my mental state and really allows me to visualize what I'm going to do. And then it also has a onset feeling, like, so a knock-on effect to my eating. Like yesterday, my hydration, my eating, I knew I had these big lifts to do and I had to perform at the highest level I've ever performed at. So I then am diligent with my food even more so than I would be, because I know if I don't, I'm not going to perform. Same with this morning, I was up earlier to make sure I was hydrated, make sure I had everything in place, there was no stress, could relax, get to the session early, really focus on what I was doing. That really, with the logbook, allows you to do that. If you're coming in off a whim and just being like, oh, we'll do a bit of chest, it's not precise enough and it's not accurate enough to make that to make you change your ways and your habits throughout the day. So I just prefer, that's why I like having a logbook.
The progress that Ryan is making on these lifts, it's a reflection of how he controls his variables outside the gym. So if he's missing lifts here, then in my head I know something's not right in terms of stress, sleep, hydration. And hydration, you know, from both elements, from a drinking water element and from a electrolyte balance element. So you nail both, you know, not only your performance, the recovery will just go the roof.
So annoying. Get to like 6 or 7, you're like breathe 15, and then it kicks in like 8, you're like fuck. But with this movement, you're not thinking about pulling with the arm, you're thinking about your hand being a hook, and then you're just really thinking about bringing your elbow into the lower region of your rib and round. And what you'll see me do is I'll use counter force, as we did if you watch the other back video on the lat pull, on the ISO lat pull down. You pull in real tight here and it activates this lat. So we push and pull, bring my chest, and as I start to fail, what I'll do is I'll start to pull and push harder. Rather than pull like a lawnmower, I'll push and use the momentum. So yeah, you want to see Oscar then cueing, rather than cueing saying pull as hard as you can, he's telling me to push in, push and push through my feet to create that counter force.
So once again, as you can see, I'm furthest away from the target muscle. I'm on the other arm, because I know if there's stability there and there's stability from the ground, this elbow will just move and it'll create output from the lats 100%, because it's fixed, it's aligned right. So there's only one way for that elbow to go. But it's just, we've got to create a stable base. Stability then becomes a prerequisite to strength. So the body's very clever. So as you can see Ryan's elbow, the body wants to take it, turn it out, which means the upper back then will be coming in. So it's just about keeping, if you're training lats, the elbow stays as close to the body as possible. Everything about back and what you're going to be training is dictated by the arm path. So that if you're then doing upper back, you pull in, elbows back and down. If you're training lats, elbows down and around. So very, very important where your arms going will dictate what's working.
Yeah, you're perfect. Yeah, I appreciate that. So then what we was checking was This knee pad needs to be so I can push against it, same as every other movement. So we're using that force. So we just check where it's the right. So if you just look down, see how that pretty tight, but then I can push.
Success is a very thin line, right? The chances that you're just going to stumble upon it, very slim, if anything. So I'm saying that in comparison to what Ryan's done on the SLDL, that preparation started yesterday. So all the variables, sleep, stress management, hydration, and all these meals are perfect. They're nailed. You know what I mean? And then that's the outcome. So this is not, that set has not happened by chance, but by choice. Are you with me? This is what people struggle to differentiate. It's like, oh, you know, Ryan, he's blessed, he's lucky, and all the drivel that comes with it. When someone is, honestly, it's an insult. When someone has really, really made all the variables perfect, that's taken effort. It's choice. He didn't have to do it. I could just put him through the session. No skin off my nose. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that he's doing that, and I know he will do that, is the fact that we're together. Because I don't question that. I don't text him and say, right, have you eaten all your meal?
He does. He does.
Make sure you're in bed for 7:30 after Peppa Pig finishes.
and I send him a selfie like, I'm ready, babe.
Yeah, I'm ready, babe. The market, yeah.
There was Oscar saying no arms, so the minute you start failing, you start pulling through your arms and using your biceps, he'll cue me to fuck that off and make sure the rep's perfect.
So I'm just trying to work out where Ryan is. Where are you with your training?
Yeah, so at the minute we're still in a recovery phase as such. We've got 1 more week in that phase. Just had blood work done, which will be another video showing you obviously what my blood work looks like. If there's anything out of line, then we'll correct that and how we'll correct that, and then we'll move on and transition into a push phase. We're thinking probably a good, if we can start minimum, like if you watch the Blast and Cruise, we will start at the minimum amount of androgens load to yield the most progress, and then that will allow us then to probably do a good 20 to 24 week escalation in that, and we'll escalate food, anabolics, and training. I'm not sure on the training side of things, because right now, day on, day off is working perfectly for me. Maybe the split might change a little bit as we add more anabolics in there, recovery becomes a little bit better, but as the lifts are moving and everything's progressing, I don't feel like there's a need to change.
No change,
yeah.
what's not broken.
So, and then, like I say, the goal now is we're 210 in the morning, so 15 stone in the morning. I think we'll only ever push it really to 225 max, because I still have that weight cut off of 192, but what I think Carl's thinking is push it to 225, 230, bring that back, bring that to maybe 10 pounds, 12 pounds off, and then go back to 225 again, and solidify that. So another session in the bag. Man, they don't get any easier. but as the sessions are going on now as well, as I'm getting the form and I'm getting the counter force, the sets of being able to take them to that, because I'm not thinking just form all the time. I can then apply some a little bit more force, and we're just getting stronger and stronger, which is hopefully you guys are getting to learn a little bit more as well. If there's anything that you guys want to see, or anything that me and Oscar need to cover as we're training, please comment below, let us know, because I want you guys to benefit as much as I possibly can from my training and my journey, and apply it to your own. As we always say, there's no point having all the knowledge, or not all the knowledge, but most of the knowledge, and not passing that on. That's what we want the knowledge for, to better ourselves, hopefully motivate you to then better yourself. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because it helps a lot. Like the video, and then obviously you'll get a notification when the next time the videos are live. We are doing one every single week now, so like I say again, if there's anything you want me to cover, pop it in the comments below, and thanks for watching. I'm gonna do